I'm a king, you should bow, boy. Shorty like that, baby, cut up, nothing I can handle. 144 with a going around, niggas do you swear like a street in the back door. Drop in the corner like a bum with a banjo. I'ma lead by example. Won't keep on stopping, got this bitch on the hand, got this bitch, got this drip, I can hit this bitch with the soap. It ain't rap, this is soap. Can't take some bitch, let you with the coat. They say they wanna hit that wrong shit. These niggas claiming that they bullshit. These niggas better move and coach. Watch the play until they make the wrong move and coach. I do it how a veteran be. You better than me. I'm raging at the edge of the key. It's all money, no honey. Think you settling deep. You locked up, fucked up, and it's back to the streets. It's one west. You can check the residency. I reside with soldiers down on the soles of their feet. Cause there's death before dishonor. Ain't no coward in me. Cause I'm cold as a bitch's shoulder. You ain't calling a week. Get the cookies on his feet. Yeah, like it well done. Got some killers on the movie and they all red rum, red rum, red rum. Got you fucking scared, son. Get the bandit on his feet. Till my fucking head numb. Black line, red drum, black and yellow air one. Homie, you ain't got a mess. I suggest you wear one. Told you niggas was going up. Going down, talking that niggas saying shit. Feeling like a legend in this shit, little nigga. I'm past metric. Never feeling third, little nigga. I'm past second. Guns, I gotta have them all like Ash Ketchum. Shotty break the nigga ribs up like his white blood. We all stepping. Kill you with kindness cause I'm dead nice. That 5'7", put you 6 feet, not talking height. That judge giving out 5, but you doing life. These hands are root GPS, a mean right. That's mean right, we build different, you know the vibes. And we saved it all authentic, we know the rhymes. I keep a 144 because I know a kind. Know it's art, you know I'm with animals when we flow and rhyme. We back again, no cap, when I'm with cap again. Yeah, they said they must smoke and still be matching them. Everything righteous, so you know when we get back at them, you get hit up with a K, but no acronym. They say they wanna hear that wrong shit. These niggas claiming that they bullshit. These niggas better move and coach. Until they make the wrong move and coach. See me, they like, keep on chopping. I'm on my way up and they ain't gonna stop it. They say they wanna hear that wrong shit. Putting them on my They say they wanna hear that wrong shit. These niggas claiming that they bullshit. These niggas better move and coach. Until they make the wrong move and coach. See me, they like, keep on chopping. I'm on my way up and they ain't gonna stop it. They say they wanna hear that wrong shit. I'm on my way. Putting them on my dumb. They see me, they like, keep on chopping. I'm on my body, real niggas right beside me. Damn right, I'm on my hobby, going up like a rocket. Can't nobody stop me. These niggas got me. So watch your mouth, boy. Coming old black, slithering house, holding out, boy. I'm off that hip like a cowboy. I'm a king, you should bow, boy. Shorty like that, baby, cut up, nothing I can handle. 144 with a going around, niggas do you swear like a street in the back door. Drop in the corner like a bum with a banjo. I'ma lead by example. Won't keep on stopping, got this bitch on the hand, got this bitch, got this drip, I can hit this bitch with the soap. It ain't rap, this is soap. Can't take some bitch, let you with the coat. They say they wanna hear that wrong shit. These niggas claiming that they bullshit. These niggas better move and coach. Until they make the wrong move and coach.
Rizzi, se lo piace molto.
Feeling like a legend in this shit, little nigga, I'm past metric. Never feeling third, little nigga, I'm past second. Guns, I gotta have them all like ass catcher. Shotty break a nigga ribs up like it's white blood. We all steppin', kill you with kindness cause I'm dead nice. That 5'7", put you 6 feet, not talking height. That judge giving out 5, what you doing life. These hands are root GPS, I mean right. That's mean right, we build different, you know the vibes. And we say that all finished, we know the rhymes. I keep it 144 because I know it's God. Know it's art, you know I'm with animals when we flow and ride. We back again, okay? When I'm with camp again. Yeah, they said they must smoke it, so we matching them. Everything righteous, so you know when we get back at them, you get hit up with a K, but no acronym. They say they want to hear that raw shit. They hear claiming that they boss shit. They live with over and coach shit. Until they get the wrong with coach. She get it loud. Keep on chopping. I'm on my way up and they ain't gonna stop it.
Yeah, Shalom Israel.
Yeah, shalom.
We are the I.S.U.P.K out of 1 West, 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under Commanding General Yahanna. We've been teaching the truth about the Bible since 1969, that the blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians are the lost 12 tribes of the nation of Israel. All right. Tonight is the Wednesday night law class, right? But before we get into the class, I will just go over the schedules of the I.S.U.P.K classes locally here in Trinidad and Tobago. All right. So on a Monday night, right, is the Monday night history class, which is done by Priest and Officer Maka Kobal. On Tuesday is the Brotherhood class, which is done by Priest and Officer Sowapiala. On a Wednesday, which is tonight, right, this class is usually done by Priest and Officer Matpayak. All right, I am Priest and Officer Maikwa, holding it down on behalf of Priest and Officer Matpayak tonight. Right, tonight is the Wednesday night law class. On a Thursday, right, we do not have any classes locally here in Trinidad, but from time to time we do stream the classes straight out of Harlem, New York, right, with 12 Shield General Mahaiman, right? So you could subscribe, like, and subscribe to the channel so that you will be notified when these classes are coming up, right, live on the various YouTube and Facebook platforms, right? On a Friday, we have the Lashawan Kwadash, right, which is the Hebrew class, right, where we learn to speak, write, and read Hebrew. This class is done by Priest and Officer Yakad, right, on a Friday, right. On a Saturday is the Sabbath service, right, which is done also by Priest and Officer Yakad and Priest and Officer Sowapiala, right. But from time to time, you may see other brothers conducting the Sabbath service as well on a Saturday, right. On a Sunday, right, is our scripture breakdown class. This class is done by Priest and Officer Galawan. He's the head of the Trinidad and Tobago camp locally here in Trinidad. All right, this is a highly interactive class where you could tune in and ask your questions, right, and get the various breakdowns to the scriptures in the Bible. All right, and this class takes place on a Sunday, right? All these classes run from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. all right, all through the week with the exception of the Sabbath service, right? The Sabbath service runs from 10 a.m. till 12 noon, all right? So you could tune into these various classes and keep up to date with all the I.S.U.P.K events and classes locally here in Trinidad. And also you could tune into ISUPK.com, which is the I.S.U.P.K, which is our website, right, to get in tune with all that is happening UPK worldwide, right, whether be it America, UK, wherever it may be. You could tune into the ISUPK .com website, right? Also remember, right, to make your donations to the school, and also remember to pay your tithes, all right? This is a commandment of the Lord, right? So with that being said, we're going to get in the class tonight, all right? And as the topic rightfully says on the screen, right, it's us having our wantingness to serve the Most High, right, to do the things that the Most High told us to do, right? As we know, right, if you've been following all the I.S.U.P.K events of lately, right, we are in the Feast of Unleavened Bread, right, which is taking place, which started with the Passover on Saturday, right, and it runs and the Feast of Unleavened Bread also runs for 7 days, right? So right now we currently in the Feast of Unleavened Bread, all right? And all these things are commandments in the scriptures given to us by the Most High, our power, right, to follow and to do, right, and to keep, right? And we're going to say Brakatai Hawawai Hawashai for commanding GEN.YAHANNA, right, for sticking faithfully to the Most High, right, and for passing down the orders faithfully and teaching us the truth about the Bible, right, and helping us to keep the Most High laws in order and in decency and in righteousness. All right, so Most High in Christ for that. All right, you can go up on the I.S.U.P.K website and the various social media platforms such as YouTube and Instagram and Facebook, Twitter, and you can see all the photos and things that happened over the past weekend, even all through this week. All right, it was a glorious moment, right? It was a amazing thing to see, right? And we the I.S.U.P.K under commanding GEN.YAHANNA, right? It will be even better, right? If you experience it, experience the brotherhood in the I.S.U.P.K under commanding GEN.YAHANNA, you will never find that nowhere else, right? You will never find that in the Christian church, the Muslim mosque, right? Nowhere on the planet Earth but the I.S.U.P.K under commanding GEN.YAHANNA. All right, right? So that the Passover was an excellent day, right? And it was a glorious thing to see black men and black women coming from all walks of life and some coming into the I.S.U.P.K, getting their lives together, getting their lives straightened out, and serving the Most High in spirit and in truth, right? So with that, we're going to get into the first scripture. We're going to get in the class, right? So we will start. Right, we are currently in the Feast of Unleavened Bread, so we will start with the Feast of Unleavened Bread, right? So you can give me Exodus chapter 12 and verse 14, Baba Kasha.
Exodus chapter 12 and verse 14. And this day shall be unto you for a memorial.
Right, so this day will be unto us a memorial, right? This will be a day for us to remember, right? Continue.
And you shall keep it a feast to the Most High.
Right, and this was supposed to be a feast, right, or what we call a high holy day, not a holiday, but a high holy day, right, of the Most High. This is a high holy day of the Lord, right? Continue.
Throughout your generation.
Right, and this high holy day was supposed to be kept throughout our generations, right? We celebrated the Passover on Saturday. This is a high holy day that is kept throughout our generations, right? So every year in the I.S.U.P.K we keep the high holy day, right? Continue.
You shall keep it a feast by an ordinance forever.
Right, and this feast is to be kept forever. And understand? So all these Christian pastors and imams and religious leaders who say that the laws of the Old Testament has done away with, right? Tonight we're going to discover, right? And as you have been discovering all the other nights before, right? Under all the priests and officers, right, and captains, right, and generals, right, that teach that this feast, which is the Passover and the Feast of Unleavened Bread, is not done away with. This is not only in the Old Testament, it is in the New Testament as well, right? And we're supposed to keep this feast throughout our generations forever, right? Continue.
Verse 15. 7 days shall you eat unleavened bread.
Right, and 7 days, right? We need Feast of Unleavened Bread for the next 7 days, right? We're supposed to do what?
Eat unleavened bread.
That's right. We're supposed to eat unleavened bread. Right, unleavened bread is bread without yeast, without a rising agent, right? So this bread doesn't have any baking powder or baking soda, right? Or in the old days, they used to use old dough, all right? They would take a piece of flour and leave it out, all right, for about 3 days, right? And the flour would begin to ferment, right? And then they would take the flour now and put it back in new flour, right? And that the fermented flour would cause the new flour to rise. Right, and they would use it as a rising agent, right? That would they use as yeast or as a rising agent to make bread back in the days, right? Right. So this bread would have no rising agent. So all the things like biscuit and pizza and during the feast of unleavened bread, right? We do not consume anything with leaven, right? Anything with any rising agents, right? Continue.
Even the first day you shall put away leaven out of your houses.
All right, so from the first day, all leaven we put out of our houses, right? We will have no leaven in our houses, right? So you can't make any mistake to eat any biscuit or any bread or anything, right? In case it slip your mind, all these things would be put out of our houses, right? Continue.
For whosoever eateth leavened bread from the first day until the 7th day, that soul shall be cut off from Israel.
Right, so this was a law in Israel, right? You will be cut off from Israel. So this was a commandment that every person had to keep. Right, whether be it old, young, middle age, whatever age you will be, you will have to keep the feast of unleavened bread, right? This is for all Israel to keep, right? Continue.
Verse 16. And in the first day there shall be an holy convocation.
Right, and in the first day of this feast, it will be a holy convocation, a holy gathering, right, unto the Most High, right, where we come together in brotherhood, right, and enjoy the company of one another, and also remember the history, right, of why we celebrate the unleavened bread feast, right? The Most High God, the Most High power, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, deliver us from the hand of our enemies during the Passover, right? And because they were on the way out of Egypt, going through the wilderness, they didn't have no time to put rising agents, right? And wait for bread to rise, right? To bake it and eat it, right? They want to run from Pharaoh, right? So they were just knead the flour, bake it and eat it and go, right? So we celebrate this as a memorial, right? For the struggle our forefathers had to go to be delivered out of the hands of Pharaoh in Egypt, right? Continue.
And in the 7th day there shall be an holy convocation to you.
Right, and also in the 7th day we'll have a holy gathering as well. So the first day we'll have a holy gathering, and on the 7th day we'll have a holy gathering as well, right? Continue.
No manner of work shall be done in them.
Right, and we will not be doing any manner of work back celebrating the high holy days in our nation. No man, no beast, right, will be doing any work on this day. This was a day towards the Most High. This was a day for us to celebrate, right? And a law commanded by the Most High that we should not do any servile work, right? Any work for hire and these types of things like that, right? Continue.
Save that which is every man must eat, that only may be done of you.
Right, so the only work you will be doing is just basically the preparation of the food. You understand? These the work, the things to get ready for the feast. These the work you would be doing, right? But you wouldn't be doing banking and accounting and all the other work that you would know, and farming and all these other things. You wouldn't be doing this type of work, right? You would be only doing the work, right, which is to prepare for the feast of Passover and unleavened bread, right? Continue.
Verse 17. And you shall observe the feast of unleavened bread. For in this same day have I brought your armies out of the land of Egypt.
Right, and this is why we celebrate the memorial of the feast of unleavened bread, right? For in this day, right, the Most High, right, brought your armies out of the land of Egypt, right? The Most High took us away from the oppression, right, of the pharaohs of Egypt, right? Because they wanted us, they went so far they even wanted us to make brick without straw. And that's how I come from. So we had to go and find your own straw, understand, to make sure to make the brick and then to go and build the pyramid. And that's how I come from. Some of the men and women were drugged out. And that's where I come from, in order to work day and night and slave for Pharaoh, right? So basically slavery in Egypt, right? Continue.
Therefore shall you observe this day in your generation by an ordinance forever.
All right, and we would serve this day in our generations, right? Meaning our generation, meaning that we would pass it on. Understand? So my great grandfather will pass it on. Understand? To my grandfather will pass it on to my father will pass it on to me, and then I go pass it on to my sons, and then my sons will pass it on to their sons, and it will keep going down the generation, right? So this was not a one-time thing. It was something to pass through all our generations, right? And it say by an ordinance forever. Understand? So this ordinance was proclaimed. It was never supposed to be stopped, right? So all like with the Christian church saying that these laws done away with, right? Even with this scripture, you that these ordinances was not only in the past, right? In the time of the, as they say in the Old Testament, but these ordinances stand even till today, right? We were supposed to keep these ordinances forever, right? Throughout our generation, just as the scripture said, right? From there you will jump from there to you go to Colossians chapter 2 and verse 10, Babakusha.
Colossians chapter 2 and verse 10.
Mm-hmm.
And you are complete in him.
Right, and the scripture say, and we are complete in him. When you say we are complete in him, we are complete in Christ, right? Christ completes us, right? Continue.
Which is the head of all principalities
Right,
and power.
and Christ is the head of all principalities and power, right? A principality, a principality is a government, right? And a power is like a supreme government, right? So, so Christ is the head of what?
All principalities and power.
Right, so all governments of the earth, right, and all supreme governments. A supreme government would be like today America, right? So Christ is even the head of the highest government that is on the face of the earth, right? He is in control of all principalities and power. All right, continue.
Verse 11. In whom also you are circumcised with the circumcision.
Right, and in whom also you are what?
Of whom also you are circumcised with the circumcision made without hands.
Right, and be circumcised with the circumcision made without hands, right? The circumcision made without hands is the circumcision of the mind, right? When you're born, right? Normally when you're born in Israel, right, the priest will take a baby at 8 days old, right, and circumcise the foreskin, right, of the penis, right? That front skin of the penis, the priest would cut it off with a knife, right? And that will be the circumcision of the flesh on the 8th day. But the circumcision made not with hands is the circumcision in the truth, right? So just like the baby felt pain, right, being circumcised in the flesh, when you come into the truth, you feel the same pain, because now you no longer could smoke weed and celebrate Christmas and celebrate Easter and eat pork, shrimp, crab, or lobster, right? You no longer could do these things. And understand? Now you are making a sacrifice to the Most High. You giving up these things, right, to serve the Most High, right? That's this circumcision is taking place in the mind, in the heart. The Bible say Mark 7:21. The Bible say the heart is the mind, right? So it's not the blood vessel pumping in the chest. When we say the heart, we're talking about the mind. So you being circumcised in the mind when you come into this truth, giving up all the things of the world, right? Continue.
And putting off the body of the sin of the flesh.
Right, and we putting off the body of the sins of the flesh, right? Just as the scripture say, we no longer doing the evil things that we used to do while we was in the world, right? So as I rightfully saying before, we no longer smoking weed, right? Eating pork, shrimp, crab, and lobster. We no longer celebrating Christmas, right? And Easter and Halloween and Valentine's Day. All these things, right? We putting away these things with the flesh. We no longer sleeping, committing adultery, sleeping with our brothers' wives, right? We no longer shaving off with beard clean like the white man, right? Now we going with beard, we rocking with braids, we embracing we history, we culture, and we heritage. Understand? So now what we putting away the things, the read back that part, Babakusha.
And putting off the body of the sins of the flesh, right, by the circumcision of Christ.
Right. You understand? So we put away these things, and now when we put away these things, now we doing the things that the Most High told us to do. So now we celebrating the Passover. Now we celebrating the feast on unleavened bread. Just like I see all through the week, right? All these hundreds and thousands of people celebrating the Lord's Passover and the feast on unleavened bread, right? Because why? They have decided to put away the things of the flesh. And understand? They have decided that we're going to serve the Lord. Understand? We're going to turn away from the evil things that the white man has set up in this society. Understand? We're going to strive to live a righteous and upright and holy. Holy means separate, a separate life from this world, right? So we putting away the things of the flesh, right? And keep the things that the Most High commanded us to do, right? Continue.
Verse 12, buried with him in baptism.
Right, and say we are what? Buried with him in baptism. How we are buried with him in baptism, right? It doesn't mean that we killing myself, understand, and trying to put yourself down in the way with Christ, right? That is not what it's saying, right? If you take it literally, you would think that's what it means. Don't mean that. right? According to the Bible, right? When they say buried with him in baptism, basically that is the old man that you getting rid of. You basically killing the old man, you're ridding yourself of the old you. You understand? Right? When you go back in the neighborhood, right? When people look at you, they realize a bit now. It's the same you, but that is not how you used to behave. And that's where I'm coming from. You're no longer robbing and stealing and thieving, right? And committing adultery, right? Or coveting a neighbor property, right? You are changed, man. You're no longer celebrating Valentine's Day and Halloween, understand? And Mother's Day, right? All these different things now, they realize you is a changed man. You're no longer what? In the spirit of this society, this society of America. We're no longer in that spirit. But why? But what we put on the most high spirit, right? We do the things that the most high told us to do. Understand? So all the things that like the days, like the feast days coming up, feast of first fruits. Understand? Yeah, the day of atonement, right? And all the different feasts. Now what? We taking on the most high spirit. Now we embracing one another. Understand? Now we know, and now we understand that what if my brother offend me, I could go to him. And understand where I'm from? Now it ain't turning no disastrous conflict. And understand when we look on social media, you see man pulling out cutlass and gun. And understand because they can't solve a simple dispute. You understand? Now you have a righteous counsel to go to, which is the I.S.U.P.K under commanding GEN.YAHANNA. Right? These are the things. Right? When you accept the things that the Most High gave you as a people, understand? When you accept these things, now the door has opened up for you to live a what? A righteous life and a separate life from this society, right? Under commanding GEN.YAHANNA and the I.S.U.P.K, right? Continue, Baba Kusha.
Wherein also you are risen with him through the faith of the operation of the Most High.
Right? And now what? We are risen with him. How we risen with him? By you killing the old man. When you kill the old man, what begins to happen? Now the new man begins to appear. Now you begin to perfect the new man. The new man doing what? Right? Keeping the Passover, celebrating on the feast of unleavened bread. Understand? The new man what becomes a soldier for the Most High. Understand? Fighting. Understand? Against the oppression of this society. And that's where I'm coming from. The new man doesn't celebrate Halloween and Easter. The new man doesn't eat pork, shrimp, crab, and lobster. Understand? The new man doesn't commit adultery, or the new man is not a homosexual. Understand? All these things, right? And when they kill the old man, the new man is being born. The new man is what? A priest and a king in the sight of the Most High. Understand? So he becomes to do what? Become a new man. When he does what? Kills the old man, when he buries the old man in the grave. And that's where I'm coming from. This new man is a man separate, or the scripture say, holy unto the Most High. All right, continue. So like everybody part of the operation in Christ, Baba Kusha.
Where within also you are risen with him through the faith of the operation of the Most High.
Right? And I want to say, when you're risen with him in the operation of the Most High, now you believe the will of God. The operation of the Most High, you believe in what God tell you to do. Understand? Right? The things that the men of the Lord tell you to do, these are the things we're doing. Understand where I'm coming from? When commanding general say, April 24th is the Passover, April 24th is the Passover. Then understand where I'm coming from? We doing the things the men of the Lord tell us to do. Understand? So we what? Following the operation, the operation of the Lord, the operation of the Most High, right? Right? We believe and the operation of the thing of the Most High is we believe in, right? That when we do what the Most High say, it will bring a better change in us. We will become better people, right? Unlike the Christian church. You understand? The Christian church say they believe God, but they're not becoming any better. They're becoming worse, right? Now they're becoming worse homosexuals. There was already homosexuals before, and they're becoming even worse. And that's where I come from, right? They're becoming worse adulterers, right? and homemongers and fornicators. Everything becoming worse for them. They're not getting any better. They're not seeing any growth. You understand? Every year, you're just seeing more, as the scripture say, more sin upon sin. Understand? Nothing gets better for the Christian church, right? The Christian church continues to stay in a sin. The Christian church likes to be lawless, understand, and likes to be likes to fight to justify the lawlessness. Understand? That's how far the Christian church has become. Understand? Because they want to do what? Celebrate Easter and eat pork, eat shrimp, eat crab, eat lobster. Everything that the Christian church does is totally what? Opposite to the scriptures. Totally opposite to what they teach. You understand? And if they teach something that in the scriptures, they always do what? Turn back and do something else. You understand? So if they tell you, well, the Lord said, do eat pork, right? When they go home, what are they eating? Pork. You understand? And they're doing it when what? Nobody watching. You understand? So they're becoming hypocrites, right? Or I shouldn't say they're becoming hypocrites. They are hypocrites. You understand? Because they do what? Practice what they teach. Right, and they also always try to create an excuse for sinning. Right, they make leeway or loopholes to keep sinning. Go ahead, Officer Shah.
Yes, like I said, just like how they are talking about the homosexuality and thing and all too, right? Yeah, they some homosexual end up getting with right from the LGBT group, right? So that's why I say how small it was now to end up a big group.
That's right.
And thing now, so the grew as you see now, so now there's a big group no one knows.
They're becoming worse.
Right.
And that's where I come from, because before it's a little sore, and now they become a major eyesore in society.
Yeah.
And now you want to wave around rainbow flag, and walk all about and fight for rights. And quarreling about the signs in the bathroom. Right? They want it to be gender neutral. And I stand from all this madness. And I stand, so you have man, woman, child, everybody going in the same bathroom. They don't care again. And I stand, according to General Hyman, this society, the society, the white man is shameless. There's no shame. And I stand, they lost all shame, walking in all nakedness and lewdness all over society. And I stand, they don't care again. And then look at Instagram and Facebook and nothing installing without some type of nakedness. You understand? That is where the world reached to right now. The world turned into total corruption. Right? And if you don't have no guide and nobody to point in the right direction, they will totally go away in this world. Understand? And go down in chaos. Right? And burn with everybody. Right?
So like I said, and when the homosexual pass away now, right? So they admitted now we from the same LGBT group, right? So now we one of the banks say again all these institutions they're hungry for money. Up comes Scotiabank, right? Scotiabank say let me they gonna keep a fundraiser for him now.
You're right.
And they say well, right. So due to the LGBT, they're gonna keep a fundraiser. So now this is what they're going to do. So the wickedness again now. So them now come like Scotiabank promoting homosexuality.
That's
so
right.
They're gonna keep a fundraiser now for this now. So now when they keep a fundraiser and carry back for this homosexual person now. All I'm going to say now, look Scotiabank care the homosexuals now.
That's right.
So they're going to move away now and say like they get something now from the other banks like RBC, First Citizen Bank, Republic Bank now. So now the case well, you know what, look Scotiabank really care about homosexuals now.
That's
now
right.
they can run in and start to put themselves now in the bank for them, and now they might have something now that when they're going in the bank now. You know, they wait now homosexuality, and then the next one now in the bank and next one is straight. Who not who again straight? Now you see that homosexual in the bank now again and clashing.
And that's true. You know, so I come from and then what? They'll be fighting for a homosexual line in the bank. All this craziness, you understand? Right? The homosexual parking, and all the different madness, you understand? And then now when big business endorse things like homosexuality and these different things, it making so the forcing society to accept it. You understand? Because if the banks accept it and the church accept it and all the major institutions in society accept it, then now if you don't accept it, everybody watching you strange. understand? And that is the pain at the circumcision that I was talking about, the circumcision without hands. The circumcision without hands is the pain of living in this society, right? But going totally against it. And understand, going totally against what the oppression. And understand that coming against the Black, Hispanic, and Native Indian man. Them trying to force all Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians to join, right, in that evil practice. Understand? In society. And understand lesbianism and homosexuality and adultery and all the different things. And understand even in them music videos, you hear things like when Swanee and them singing, they're saying all of we the share one girl. You understand where I'm from? That is the kind of things. So when you keep hearing that thing, you will think it was a normal thing. You understand? And if you have no guide and nobody to look over you and to point in the right direction, right? You end up going down that path. And understand where I'm from? And that is a path if nobody pull you back from, have no return. You understand? And the most time had to wipe you off the face of the earth. You understand? So that's a heavy point to bring in there with that homosexual thing. Right? They're trying to establish that in society. And when all you look at it, right? All these things happen in America. It's like that's why when the generals then bring down the scriptures, it's so true because they actually seen it playing out. And understand? Because when they say, if the generals say America experiencing police brutality, better bottom dollar in about 2 weeks, like it have a 2 weeks delay. And you know, like when you have a bad internet connection and you talk, and you have to wait a while for it to reach, that would happen in Trinidad. You understand? As them say, we could literally predict based on what the generals say what will happen in Trinidad. You understand? Because if homosexuality ramp up in America, and in about 2 weeks' time, it's Trinidad. And if police brutality ramp up in America, in 2 weeks' time, it's Trinidad, and so it going. And understand the death of George Floyd take over the whole America, what happened in Trinidad. About 2 weeks later, we have protests down here, George Floyd, and so it going. And understand where I'm from? So these things keep happening over and over and over. And all these foul spirits, right? The scripture say America, every foul spirit. And every one of them that rise up in America keep spreading to all the other nations, keep spreading to all where the Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indian lives. And if we do take heed and we do tune into things like Commanding GEN.YAHANNA Black Watch to hear the Black news and to understand what we know with the Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indian in society, we go miss and understand the vital things that we need to survive. And understand if you do come into the I.S.U.P.K under Commanding GEN.YAHANNA, you'll be lost in society. You'll continue to go to church for years, and the pastor will continue to preach what? Sow a seed. And understand? Because all them care about is what money. All they care about is what? Filthy lucre, greed. And understand where I'm from? And them preaching the same sermon every Sunday. Right? And because the congregation drop asleep. And understand? They go into church every Sunday and realizing it's the same thing he preaching every Sunday. Every Sunday is what money. And understand? And the Lord will bless you, and the Lord will do this. And when you look all about society, all kind of things happening. Guatemala, right? I have a mass migration going towards America. Mexico, mass migration going towards America. Venezuela running to Trinidad, right? Just about a day or 2 days ago, and next boat turnover with a whole set of Venezuelans trying to come to Trinidad. And I think there's probably only about 2 survive. And I saw things happening all over the globe. When you look in the UK and even as far as Canada, all over the globe, it's just turmoil. But in the Christian church, they were telling them everything okay. And understand? So I see the Lord God bless you. Them still preaching the same message that was preaching was way back. And understand in the early days of the church. Understand? And they're not warning the people about the things that happening around them. Look, St. Vincent, a whole volcano blow. Understand? What Christian pastor talk about that? Nobody care. Understand where I'm from? Because everybody watching gain and profit in society. But here in the I.S.U.P.K under Commanding GEN.YAHANNA, bet your bottom dollar, you're going to be warned about the things in this world and the sly tricks of the so-called white man, right? The deceiver. Understand? That try to bring the black man under more oppression and to keep you from serving and doing the things that the Most High. Alright? Where the read Babakasha? The operation the Most High?
Can.
Continue.
who had risen him from the dead.
Right? And the Most High do what? Risen him from the dead. Right? And the same way the Most High raised Christ from the dead, it is so same way he could do the same for us. Understand? When we do what? When we put away the old man, when we put away our sins, right? And turn and to do the things that the Most High told us to do in the scriptures. Then we go do what? Rise out of the ghettos and rise out of the slums, rise out from the sleep in Christianity, rise out from drug addiction. Understand? Then we go do what? Stop being number one in HIV and AIDS. Understand? Stop being number one in cancer. Understand? Because why? We will now know what the correct thing to eat. Understand where I come from? We won't be eating dolphin and bat that cause any coronavirus and all these things. Now we go do what? Live an upright and a holy life, a separate life from these other nations around us. You understand? It's what happening to India. And understand after the boost, but how much factories that have producing vaccines now, corona running rampant in their society. Now them begging the world for help. You understand? And that the power of the Most High. You understand? That the Most High executing his power. If you want to know what the Most High power look like, just watch India. You understand? One day you're boasting, and the next day you are in pain. People begging for oxygen, people dying like flies. The burning over 2,000 bodies a day. You understand? It's the most cremation ever. Only smoke. You understand where I'm from? Only human sediments they're breathing in, because why? Its body's burning left, right, and center. Because why? You can't boast against the Most High. The Most High is who is in control of this world. You understand where I'm from? And a country that have 1 point something billion people now at the risk of totally collapsing. And understand? Because the coronavirus ravaged them. And I think the last time I take a look at the news, there was like 300 and something thousand a day infected. And understand? First it get out of hand. And they can't seem to stop it, and they can't get enough supplies. And understand? And you know, all the countries that bring in aid is politics about who giving what and when to give it and all these different kind of things. And understand? So India a total calamity, and that is why you mustn't mess with the Most High. And then you boast, understand, and puff up yourself against the children of Israel and against the Most High. The Most High have a way of dealing with you when you least expect it. Understand?
Like I said,
and well,
the 2 million God should have them now.
That's right. And that's a big point you bring into the 2 million, understand? Because as I rightfully say, the 3 million gods can't help them. And understand? Because I remember looking at a news article, and it had this man say, I hear everything. He have money, and understand? He have cars, houses, everything. And what he couldn't even help his own sister with the coronavirus, because he can't do nothing. She need oxygen. Who get it for she? Nobody. They had literally no oxygen. He couldn't even pay on the black market to get oxygen because they had none. And understand? And he just start die. And understand? And that is the power of the Most High. And understand? From that is the Most High could do. Even though you have everything and you have all the money in the world, and understand? And the biggest chain and the biggest necklace and the best Lexus and the biggest house and 1,000 businesses. At the end of the day, if you don't have the Most High with you, you totally fail. And that's where I'm from. You totally go into destruction. And that's why I look in certain families, whole families dying. Mother, father, sister, brother, everybody dying. And that's why first it rampant over there. And that's why, and that is just for the world to see, because the Most High was doing what? Showing off his power, showing you what he could do in the world. And that's why, and the destruction of coming to America even more greater than what we see now. And understand? As the general said, it's only going to get what? Worse. It's not going to get better. It's going to get worse. And understand? And that's why all blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians need to come in the I.S.U.P.K under command in GEN.YAHANNA. Because that's the only way you could survive all this calamity happening in the world. All. And understand? Because everybody looking to be what? Crushed under if you ain't crushed under the oppression of the white man, when this total empire fall, you fall with it. If you believe in this empire, if you believe in Caesar Borgia, understand, and Muhammad, and the Kava stone, and Egyptology, and the Ankh, right? Who still can even decipher the writing on the pyramid? If you want to believe in that, you go ahead. Understand? But at the end of the day, right? What the time will show, understand, that the Most High do make no joke when coming to the children of Israel. And understand, he will totally destroy these nations and bring them down to naught, just as the scripture says. All right. And just as you see, like with Noah, right? I just paraphrasing. You see what he go save the people by what the foolishness are preaching. So just by us, right? You're hearing us every night, right? And you're watching, and understand, and they might be listening, right? And or wherever it is listening the ISUPK. This is where it is. This is what he's saving people by the foolishness are preaching. Coming out, ISUPK, the prophets under command and GEN.YAHANNA coming out every night. Right? And keep warning you. Time to come out and the foolishness that they're in and all the foolishness of this world and do what? It's time to serve God. Time to do what? Come into the I.S.U.P.K under command and GEN.YAHANNA. Just watch what's going around. Just watch what's happening around us all over the world. And you'll get to understand that the whole world out of course. And understand and come into a screeching halt. If, right? If we do decide to do and keep the things that the Most High say for us to do, we can't survive. Right? What verse did it reach, Baba Kasha?
Yeah, at the end of verse 12, Colossians chapter 2.
Right. Go down to verse 13, Baba Kasha.
Colossians chapter 2 and verse 13. And you, being dead in your sin and the uncircumcision of your flesh, had he quickened together with him, having forgiven you all trespasses.
Right, and you being dead in your sins, right? Being dead in your sins meaning what? You put away the old man, right? All the people who standing on a command in GEN.YAHANNA, standing in righteousness, do what? Put away the old man, right? We put away alcoholism, and we put away the thieving and robbing, right? And we put away the weed, and understand, and the crab and the lobster and the shrimp. We put away celebrating Christmas and Easter. Understand, and all these strange holidays of the world that they try to come up with. We put away all these things. All right, so we are what? Dead in our what?
And you are being dead in your sin.
Dead in your sin. So them things dead to me, right? Continue.
And the uncircumcision of your flesh.
Right, and the uncircumcision of your flesh. Right? Understand? When you uncircumcised in the flesh, meaning what? You're carnal. You're all about the things of the world. And understand, you totally believe in the white empire. And understand, you believe in America, right? We do what? We put away all that. We separate ourselves from the uncircumcision of the flesh. Continue.
And he quickened together with him.
Right, and he quickened us together with him. What we do, right? The word quicken is an old English word, right? And it means to make alive or to become alive, right? So you do what? He make us alive. And understand? Right, together with him, and understand, come making alive in spirit. Now we begin to live. We now start to live. And understand, we now start to keep the Most High Law to celebrate the Passover. Even in all, imagine that. Even in all this calamity that's taking place all over the world, the I.S.U.P.K under command and GEN.YAHANNA could do what? Celebrate the Passover. And understand, celebrate the peace and unleavened bread. And understand, right? Bracketai how shy for that. And understand where I'm from? We could still do the things that the Most High say for us to do. Willingly. You understand where I'm from? While the whole world in chaos. So in the midst of chaos, we could still do the most things the Most High say for us to do. All right. Go ahead, Babu Kasha.
And that's the right way to see, right? Because I see now if like we the nation of Israel, they really know about the Most High feast days and Passover and we celebrate and everything, right? Now everybody would know, and now the police will have to come and lock down the place. I want to know what is really going on here. I think
that's right.
But we people lost.
That's right. People lost, and as I'm from people all over the place. Many of them believe in Caesar Borgia. Understand? Some of them believe in the Kava stone. All right, a big hard dead rock. And understand, they believe in, some of them believe in white supremacy. And understand, some of them believe if the just get a better career. And understand where I'm from? Right? Or if they just get a better house, or they just get a better job. And understand? They will do better. No. And understand, all I just white supremacy. And understand, they're running down something vain. And understand where I'm from? Right? So we do running down what? The things are the Most High. And we just feel like if I just get a little more money, yeah, I'll come and serve the Lord. Nah. You understand where I come from? That ain't gonna happen. You understand? Because you know why? You go just in keep getting more money, and you go just in keep serving the Lord more. You understand? Yeah, you understand where I come from? Yeah, you come as is. Just how it is. You're poor, broke, busted, and disgusted. Shouldn't have to come and serve the Lord. You understand? You have nothing to lose. I've done in the bottom already. I've done in the bottom of society. I've done it under oppression. You understand? Right? I've done under what? Hard times. Better come and say, I have nothing to lose. And you know what? Because they have nothing to lose, they will gain everything. You understand? Because they're coming to do what? Serve under Christ, under command in GEN.YAHANNA. All right? Jump down to Colossians 2 and verse 16, Baba Kusha.
Colossians 2 and verse 16.
Mm-hmm.
Let no man therefore judge you in meat or in drink or in respect of an holiday or of the new moon or of the Sabbath day.
That's right. And that's where I'm coming from. And the reason why no man could judge me, because why? We put away the things of the flesh. And understand? We put away eating pork, shrimp, crab, and lobster. And understand? We put away celebrating Christmas and Thanksgiving. Understand? Right? And Independence Day. Right? We put away these things. Understand? Nobody in the I.S.U.P.K or not command GEN.YAHANNA, nobody's homosexuals here. Nobody's adulterers. Understand? We decide to put away the things of the world and do what? Serve and do the things of the Most High. Understand? And that is why now people will come to do what? They will come to do what? Say what? Dine on the way to keep the Passover. Understand? Or they will say what? Dine on the days of the Passover. Understand? Well, you know where you know the full moon is the new moon. Understand? But you know after them want to tell you how to serve the Most High, and they themselves not do anything the Most High say to do. They want to judge you and tell you, hey, this is how you should do this. Understand? And they themselves not do anything that Christ tell them to do. You know why? Because all people we meeting that come up against the I.S.U.P.K and to challenge we, right? They're still going on after they done fight a debate about Christ. They're going on and do what? Smoke weed. You understand where I'm from? Think about all the people who challenge you on the street, all about their walk. They're still going on and do what? Celebrating Christmas. They're still going and smoke cigarette. And that's where I come from, right? They're still going on and do what? Be adulterer. Understand? But you're fighting the things of Christ. And that's why they're trying to debate and debate all different type of doctrine. Think about all the Egyptologists. Understand? What are going to do? Not celebrate Christmas. Understand? All the Muslims who come up against you. When Christmas reach, what are they doing? And you see them with the big Christmas, the ball halal meat all year. But when Christmas reach, they have a big Christmas tree. Some of them have the biggest Christmas tree. You understand where I'm from? The Christian pastor. You understand? You're telling them don't eat pork, shrimp, crab, and lobster. And what? He don't care. You understand? He say, he say what? Understand? All things are good to eat. You understand? Right? And they say all things are good to eat. And why doesn't eat human? You understand? That's what I'm showing you. You understand? They're just moving careless and willy-nilly. The church, even right locally down here in Trinidad, when the Christmas season reaches, the churches have some of the biggest Christmas tree that you could find in the entire country. You understand where I'm coming from? Them don't care. You understand? They do love God. You understand where I'm coming from? And that's why in the I.S.U.P.K under command and GEN.YAHANNA, we could say that they do love God. Because if you love God, then you're supposed to do what? Keep your commandments, just like the scripture say. You understand where I'm coming from? And these are the things that they try to come around you with and try to say, this is not this and this is not that. All on Facebook and Instagram and YouTube in the comments. And understand, they will try to say, well, there's not the way to celebrate this. But at the end of the day, understand, one thing, if you guarantee you're not commanding GEN.YAHANNA is, when the men of the I.S.U.P.K go home, we doing what? We're not doing what? Sinning against the Most High. Understand? We're not doing what? Doing unrighteousness. When they go home, they're going home to a bowl full of pork, shrimp, crab, and lobster. You understand where I'm from? They're going home to beat their wives. You understand? The Christian pastor going home to homosexuality. Understand? And being pedophile to get against people throwing on all the altar boy. You understand? What's among St. Benedict's? You understand? Imagine the people, they get abused so bad, right, as children, that they couldn't even talk about it until they get forced as big people. So you had to become a grown man, and somebody had to press you to admit, understand, that the priest raped you when you were small. Understand? That is the destruction that the Christian pastor are doing, understand, in all these churches. Understand? When people, parents sending the children thinking that they're going to Sunday school, and understand, or they're going to be an altar boy and to serve in the priesthood. Nah, the priest molesting the children. Understand? The Roman Catholic Church had the most settlements, understand, for homosexuality in the church, understand, for being pedophiles. Understand? When it was Greek mythology. Look at Greek mythology that are most about. Every statue naked for some reason. You understand? Them had no statue in clothes. Everyone naked, right? And all who were naked, all the statues that are not naked have a little boy on the lap. Understand? Watch all of them. Understand? Turn all them history books and look through Greek mythology and Greek history. Every one of them naked, because why? That is the white man custom. And understand? That is history. History based on homosexuality. And understand that as the general say, white culture is a shameless culture. There are no shame. And understand, them totally going to the dogs. Look at Instagram. Everybody, nothing, not selling without what, as you were saying before, without a half naked picture. But you can say that total nakedness. And understand, because when in a bikini like that, they're totally naked. You understand where I'm coming from? That is where we're reaching to. And that culture spreading from the adults straight down to the children. Nobody in care. Because why? The white race is a shameless society. And understand, and all the other nations were following that custom, following that culture. You understand? But thank God for the I.S.U.P.K under command of GEN.YAHANNA. We that is not the culture. We get to understand that this society, the things we see now in this society, is not our culture. Understand? We have a better culture, a fully dressed culture. Understand? Clothed in the right mind. Understand? As we the same locally here in Trinidad. Understand? We clothed physically and we clothed mentally with the laws, statutes, and commandments. All right? That was the another Bible question.
That was the end of verse 16.
Go down to verse 17.
Verse 17. Which are a shadow of things to come, but the body is of Christ.
Right, and the shadow of things to come is a shadow what the preview. Right, this is only what a preview of things to come. Continue.
Verse 18. Let no man beguile you of your reward in the voluntary humanity of and worshipping of angels, intruding into those things which he had not seen.
Continue.
Vainly puffed it up by his fleshly mind.
Right, and then say one, let no man beguile you of your reward in a voluntary humility of worshipping angels and intruding in those things which he had not seen. Vainly puffed up in his fleshy mind, right? Don't let no man what? Beguile you means to do what? To trick. You understand? Don't let nobody trick you in a false way. You understand? From telling you this is the way to keep the Sabbath. And understand? This is the way you should celebrate the Feast of First Fruits. And you understand? You know he's a sinner. You understand? You know you gonna smoke cigarette. You know you have a big ras on the head talking about he's the Lion of Judah. You understand? You know that. You understand where I'm from? We don't, when you look at them, you see them all over the street, walking up and down. You understand? Professing to be Jew and they have a big dirty ras on the head. You understand? We better get from them old dirty East Indian Gengori pundit. You understand? Talking about he's a Rasta. You understand? That's what showing you. That is the madness in those society. You understand? The pastor will fight it down to the last. And then he go to eat a bowl full of pork. You understand where I'm from?
So like I said,
I the hypocrisy with the Christian church. Go ahead.
Yes, like I said, that's the thing I know that when I tell my Arasta, they call him King David in Lapri. So our partner now is see me and he say oh Israel. So when he come, he say you say I say yeah, I Israelite. He say so just so like he have a problem with So that's how they do. Israel ask me why even him now. So you believe Joseph had sex with Mary? I say yes, I believe Joseph had sex with Mary.
Yeah.
And then say boy it's folly. I say right, no sin. I say if I think no sin, I say Romans 3 and 2. If you didn't believe, you didn't believe.
Yeah.
God will get to go on.
That's right.
And he go up and he just curling with him, I just laughing.
That's right. Then and a perfect example like we bring it. And I sound because that's showing the folly with the world rich too. And I sound everybody know everything about the Bible, but don't want to follow nothing in the Bible. And I sound and that is where we leading up to. And I sound that is where we're going to get to understand, and that is where the feast of unleavened bread is about. You understand? Wanting to know everything. But when any time to actually do it, when they tell them, hey, come to class. Understand? Tomorrow night, 7 o'clock, your class. Nobody going to show up. You know why? Because then it's time to do the things that the most I want them to do, they don't want to do it. You understand? And that with the Christian church does do. That is hypocrisy in the highest form. You understand? Right? So you say, let no man beguile you, let no man trick you. Right? Let no man trick you into voluntary humility and worshipping of angels, including those things which have not. And understand where I'm from, right? And I just paraphrasing this one, and the scripture that talk about the devil and the angels. And understand? The angels, and that's what we're talking about the Christian pastors, all who doing the work as Satan. You understand where I'm from? And where all the women and like they're doing in Christian churches as well, do what? Worship the pastors. They like to worship the Christian pastor. That's the best thing. You can't say nothing bad about the pastor. You understand where I'm from? Right? Don't let nobody trick you into them foolishness and nonsense. You understand? I'm talking about he's a prophet so and so. Right? And then when the end of the year reach, all the children running about in the neighborhood in Halloween costume. And I stand coming from, or when some years pass, they get to find out he's a homosexual. You understand where I'm coming from? That is what it is. Understand? Or that he interfere with somebody's child. You understand? That all of them turn out to be the same thing. Every pastor that rise into major prominence, you just gotta give them time. And every time they always going on in what? Some form or the other homosexuality, sleeping with somebody's wife. You understand? Some calamity always taking them, because why? The Christian church continue to teach what? The laws of God done away with. If the laws of God done away with, and the Christian church operating with no laws, which means they what? They become lawless. You have a lawless society. You understand? And no society, no organization, no school, anything can run without laws. You must need that. You must have guidelines. You understand? And the Christian church decide we don't want no guidelines. We could do what we want. And that is why the whole Christian church we head into what? Total destruction. You understand where I'm from? That is rich. The Muslim must decide we have guidelines, but you know what under them? Them guidelines is not from the Mosai. So them going down to the plus. And understand? Egyptology, correlate body, all the hieroglyphics and Kemet and the Ankh and all them kind of thing, and what? They're studying no laws. And understand? So what happened to them? All of them going down to the dust. The Mosai point what? All of them to shame. Understand? All these religious leaders going to they're talking about the Bible, but what they're doing, not doing things in the Bible. They're not applying it. And what happened to them? All of them going down to the dust. Understand? Only the I.S.U.P.K and the command of GEN.YAHANNA is we do what? Do everything God say. Everything God say to do inside here, we'll do it. All.
Okay.
Understand? That is what we just teach inside here. Understand? And we're not straying away from anything. Understand where I'm from? So if you see officers, captains, understand, generals, students, sisters, all that rank order, all that company Bible. You see me drinking wine, all that company Bible. We eating unleavened bread, come from the Bible. We grow we beard, it come from the Bible. You understand? The brothers bread in the hair, it come from the Bible. We not growing no rats, it come from the Bible. You understand? We only do the things that the Most High say to do. None of we inside here is homosexual. That come from the Bible. Not supposed to be homosexual. Not supposed to be adulterers and covetous and stealing and wanting to murder one another. You understand? All these things, not in the Bible. You understand? It even have a law. You understand that we should do what? Pay your brother before the sun go down. If it's in your hand, pay him. You understand? What the white man do today, Friday. I'll show you. You understand? You understand? Or you tell him one to end. You understand? That's why this world unjust and corrupt. You understand? According to God, once you work, at the end of the day, you're supposed to do what? You're supposed to be paid your money and go on. That's what it is. You understand? And if them things used to be applying in the world would have never been stated into it. You understand? And that is why we need righteous men to rule the face of the earth again, the 144,000, the government of Christ, to come back on the earth and rule the earth once more again, right? And then righteousness will begin to reign on the earth. You understand? And then when a man eat pork, shrimp, crab, and lobster, yeah, you'll get stoned to death. You understand where I'm coming from? Right? Because all them evilness will be happening in the world. You understand? When a man, nobody will be sleeping with nobody wife. Right? And all these and homosexuality. It will not that. It will not know LGBTQ. You understand? Before that group could even form. You understand? Before a man could get it thought in the mind, that crush. You understand? That totally being wiped out. I will not that in the kingdom of the Most High, right? Right? So nobody can judge about that. You understand? Here in the I.S.U.P.K under command in GEN.YAHANNA, we do all the things that the Most High told us to do. Right? And all the things that we teach on the street, we do them. We know hypocrites. Understand? We don't go on the street and say, do celebrate Christmas, and then we come home to celebrate Christmas. We don't do that. Right? In the I.S.U.P.K under command in GEN.YAHANNA, right? And then the last part say what? Puffed up in your fleshy mind, meaning what? Your mind carnal. You understand where I'm coming from? Your mind full of rubbish from the world. You understand? Right? In the world where you just feel, in the world you feel it, you're taught you know something when actually you didn't know nothing. You understand where I'm from? Because when you was in the world, everybody in the world think Christ white. You understand? With blue eyes and have a nice soft spoken voice. Only when they come in the truth, then they get to realize now God black. You understand? You know realize Christ black. You understand? You know realize Christ Negro. And understand, you don't realize that the children of Israel is actually the black people, the Hispanic people, and the Native Indian people. We don't realize that when they come in the truth. Understand? So in the world, we thought we didn't know. But when you come into the truth, you realize we don't know nothing. Nothing. Understand? Everything we thought we didn't know about the Bible is totally rubbish. Understand? Right? Half of we think we know in the Bible is what we see on TV and an Easter film. You understand? With a white Moses and white Joshua and everybody. Somehow everybody in Egypt is white for some reason. And Egypt is an African nation. I don't know how they come up with that. You understand? And that is show the power of white supremacy. An African nation, but when they show it on TV, it's white. You understand? Craziness. You understand? So that kind of rubbish. And then now when we watch these things, we form our opinion and we mind. So then when it comes to the Bible, then everybody says, well, I know about the Bible. No, you didn't know about the Bible. You see our own rubbish film that white people show you from Hollywood. Understand? But you didn't realize that all these things in the Bible, right? You didn't know these things before. Understand? You didn't realize that the Egyptians were dark-skinned people. You didn't know the Egyptians, right? Everybody, yeah, the Egyptians is African, but you didn't know what? The Israelite is not Africans. Understand? When you tell people that, they find it strange. Understand? Because why? Nobody didn't know these things. Understand? Thank God for the I.S.U.P.K, thank God for command and GEN.YAHANNA and the generals and the captains, everybody coming down, holding the order and holding it straight, coming straight down, right, to the troopers and the students that we're able to relay all this teaching straight down. Understand? In perfect order and righteousness, right? So that we'll be able to understand the truth about this Bible and the truth about the Most High and the truth about the scriptures, right? From the Babakasha, you go jump. Give me 1 John 3 and 5 Babakasha. Let me go to the Matthew after.
1 John 3 and 5?
Yeah.
1 John 3.
Salakia. 1 John 5 and 3, Baba Kusha. My bad.
First John 5 and verse 3. For this is the love of the Most High, that we keep His commandments, and His commandments are not grievous.
Right. So they say this is the love of the Most High, that we keep His commandments. We do the things that the Most High say for us to do. That is the only way for you to love the Most High. Can't hug Him, can't kiss Him on the cheek. The only way you can show the Most High love Him is to what? Keep His commandments. Do the things that He say for us to do. And that's why when I come into the truth, the scripture says that what? New creature in Christ. He's a new person. And understand? But this new person had to do what? Do the things that the Most High say. Right? Put away the old man, put away the old you. The old man who used to smoke weed and go in strip club and buy prostitutes. Right? All that man had to throw away. Right? And be what? A new man in Christ. To follow and do the things that the Most High say to do, right? Jump from there, go to Matthew chapter 26 and verse 18, Baba Kusha. Right? We had to follow the example Christ set for we. And so the example Christ set for we, the Christians should just say the laws done away with, and Christ never used to keep the laws in the Old Testament. That is not true. Christ continued to keep the laws in the New Testament. Right? He continued to do the things of old. Right? And he continued to give the understanding to all the disciples, right? And everybody who he teach, he continue to bring a better understanding to them, so they will understand why they're doing this and why they should do the things that the Most High. All right. So remember Matthew 26 and 18, Baba Kusha.
Matthew chapter 26 and verse 18. And he said, go into the city to such a man and say unto him, the master said, my time is at the hand.
All right, so go up to verse 17, Baba Kusha.
Verse 17. Matthew chapter 26 and verse 17. Now the first day of the feast of unleavened bread.
Right, the feast of what?
Unleavened bread.
Go ahead.
The disciples came to Yahushua.
All right, so the topic they're talking about is the feast on unleavened bread, right? And say this is the first day of the feast on unleavened bread, right? Continue.
Saying unto him, where wilt thou that we prepare for thee to eat the Passover?
That's right. Understand? So right there, right in that scripture, we understand that Christ will do what? Two things. Keep the Passover and what? The feast on unleavened bread. You understand where I'm from? Nobody can dispute that. Understand? It is written for us to see. Understand? Right? He didn't come to do something different. He didn't done away with it. He used to keep the Passover and the feast on unleavened bread. So the inquiring from Christ, what we should do and where we should keep the Passover and the feast on unleavened bread. Right? Continue.
Verse 18. And he said, go into the city to such a man and say unto him, the master said, my time is at the hand. I will keep the Passover at thy house with my disciples.
Right? And he go do what? Read the last part.
I will keep the Passover at thy house with my disciples.
That's right. And Christ said with his own mouth in red, right? I will keep the Passover at thy house with my disciples. You understand? So Christ and his disciples, he used to keep the Passover and the feast on unleavened bread. Understand? So nobody can dispute that. And if we is to follow the example, because the Christians just like to talk about let us follow Christ, and they like to say Christians mean the follower of Christ. But then if you really is a follower of Christ, you're supposed to keep the Lord Passover. You understand? You're supposed to keep the feast on unleavened bread, right? And all these things that making no one understand how the Christian church is hypocrites, because they don't do none of these things. And the Christian church just keep all the earthly holidays and keep none of the high holidays in the scriptures. You understand? So there's total hypocrites, right? They don't believe in the scriptures. Continue.
Verse 19. And the disciples did as Yahushua had appointed to them, and they made ready to the Passover.
That's right. Right? And they made ready the Passover, right? So they do everything and then they get ready to keep the Passover, right? So this little portion of scripture here is just a show, right? How Christ and his disciples didn't keep the Passover, right? They didn't do nothing contrary or different from the Old Testament, right? This law, they know this was a law. As we read in the book of Exodus, it was a law forever throughout the generations, as an ordinance forever, right? So straight from the Old Testament, thousands of years later, what? In the New Testament, they were still keeping the Passover under Christ, right? So go down to give me verse 27, Babakusha. Same chapter, jump to verse 27.
Matthew chapter 26 and verse 27. And he took the cup and gave thanks.
Salakia, go give me verse 26, Babakusha.
Okay. Matthew chapter 26 and verse 26. And as they were eating, Yahushua took bread.
He did what?
Yahushua took bread and passed it, and broke it,
and blessed it. Go ahead.
And he gave it to the disciples and said, "Take, eat. This is my blood."
Right. So he take bread. Remember, this is during the Passover, right? So if this is during the Passover and the feast on unleavened bread, right? And he took bread and eat. What type of bread was eaten? That was eaten what? Unleavened bread. Because this is the feast of the what? Passover. Feast on unleavened bread. Right? Right after the feast of unleavened bread, the 7 days, right after the feast of the Passover, is the 7 days unleavened bread, right? Continue.
Verse 27. And he took the cup.
And even during the Passover is unleavened bread. Right? Continue.
And he took the cup and he gave thanks and gave it to them, saying, "Drink you all of it."
Right? And he took the cup and gave thanks. And he said, "Drink you all of it." You understand? And we had any cup, he didn't have grape juice. He had wine. You understand where I'm from? Christ drink wine. Right? With the Christians do like to talk about them things. You understand? They make you feel he drink grape juice. Right? And he drink of it, and also the one, the disciples. Right? Drop down from there. Give me Matthew chapter 11 and verse 19, Babakusha.
Matthew chapter 11 and verse 19. The Son of Man came eating and drinking.
He came what?
Eating and drinking.
He came what?
Eating and drinking.
Go ahead.
And they say, "Behold, a man of gluttonous."
A man of gluttonous, a man who does eat plenty, go ahead.
And drink, and a wine bibber.
And he does drink real wine. And understand? So this man eat 2 things. He eating real plenty and he drinking real wine. Right? Continue.
A friend of the publicans and sinners.
And a friend of the publicans and a friend of sinners. Right? When I look for when I look up a publican is somebody who used to work for the Roman Empire. Right? So it will come like this. It will come like see how America is. Right? The white man ruling America and somebody in the American army. Right? I Israelite the American army. Right? That's not come from. They would be like a publican, right? Or like a politician, right? Continue.
But the wisdom is justified of her children.
Right? So it's and also say before I go to the wisdom is justified of her children, it also say he used to be with what? With publicans, right? And also with he was the friends of sinners. And that's not come from. But why was he the friends of sinners, right? And I just showed you the type of man Christ was. And I understand because everybody how the Sadducees and Pharisees was religious. And I understand don't lie with them, boy. And I understand them is no good. The customers no good and nobody and nothing. And I understand so all the people like in John and Beatom and Lavantil and Labre, they never used to go out on the street and lie with them. And I understand because why them is special. And I understand them have on the long robe with all the long fringes and the nice phylacteries all about. And I understand, but Christ wasn't that type of person. He used to go and I understand in the ghetto because why? He used to go around them so that they will see how he does operate. And that is how a man will change. And I understand when a man realize, wait now, you just drink wine? Yeah. And I understand? But I thought he's a church man, boy. No, we not in a church. Then that's where I come from. Then you get to explain yourself. Then you get to say we need ISUPK under command in GEN.YAHANNA. And it's not unlawful. You understand? Right? To drink wine. And that's where I come from, right? It's not unlawful to have what? More than one wife. You understand where I come from? You can have one wife, but it's not unlawful to have more than one wife. You understand? Right? Or you walk around, you might end up in some conversation. And that's not wrong. Then they can explain it to people what do sleep with your brother wife. You understand where I'm from? That is when they say Christ was a friend of publican and sinners, is because why he used to teach them. You understand? Because everybody wants to know his style, why he does operate that way. So now he able to teach them and they're able to change because they're able to study what? See the example that he's setting, a physical example. He ain't just talking in a pulpit and then he jump in the Rolls Royce and he going and drive off. You understand? He was a man actually walking the street. You understand? Everybody know him. He's a known person. So they know his ways. You understand where I'm coming from? They never know him to be a hypocrite. You understand? They never know him to go and teach in front of thousands. And then when he go home, he doing something else. He was never that kind of person. So he is able to set that example. You understand? Right? And then you read back the last part again where it's about wisdom.
But the wisdom is justified of her children.
Right? And you say wisdom is justified of her children. Right? Who is the trainer of wisdom? The trainer of wisdom is the same publican and sinners. Because you know why? When they get taught by Christ and they're able to see the wisdom and get the understanding in the teachings, now them become the trainer of wisdom. No, because they're now doing what? They're willing to change. And understand? They now start to understand, oh, so this is why it doesn't eat pork, shrimp, crab, and lobster. This is why we do celebrate Christmas. Understand? This is why we do celebrate Easter. They now understand it not. Easter is a pagan festival. You understand? You know, understand Thanksgiving is the slaughter the native Indians. We now getting to understand. We now becoming wiser as a people. You understand? So now we become the what? The children of wisdom. You understand? We now become better in thinking and understanding about the things that the Most and the things of Christ, right? That was the end of that verse, Baba Kusha. Right, that's no one. Give me Romans 3:21, Baba Kusha. Right? So Christ was able to teach people and teach Israelites of all walks of life, right? And many of them heard him and was able to change their lives, right? And move away from the evil, corrupt society that was the Roman Empire. And we're still fighting and battling today under this new Egypt or spiritual Egypt, which is America, fighting the same corruption and oppression of the white man. Understand? And now we are to go out and set that example for our people, for the Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians, so that they could change. When they see things like the Passover and these different events that are happening, now they understand. And that's where I'm coming from, right? Because before, right, it was a joke. And understand? Because I remember in the early days, commanding GEN.YAHANNA and GEN.YAHANNA and all the generals would tell stories of how people used to pelt them with maple bottle. And understand where I'm coming from, right? And all different type of objects because it was a joke. And understand? Nobody didn't believe nothing they say. And understand? And they stick with it. And understand? And keep grinding out until what? What's the day? You have the 52nd annual Passover, one of the biggest and most glorious Passover you could ever see. And so now we have thousands because them decide, but we sticking with it. Look at what happened today. And we able to come into the truth today. And become mighty men to do what? Go out and do the work of the Most High. Understand? Is a total different mindset that you have to be in the I.S.U.P.K under command in GEN.YAHANNA. Right? Continue, Baba Kusha, to Romans 3 and verse 21, Baba Kusha.
Romans 3 and verse 21. But now the righteousness of the Most High without the law is manifest, being witnessed by the law, and the prophets.
That's right. And Romans 3:21 saying, "Now the righteousness of God with all the law is manifest," right? And I don't mean, right, Christians take this to mean that we should live lawless, right, without any laws, or they take it to mean that the law is no longer in effect, right? But according to the Bible, right, the way Paul writes, that is not what he's saying. You understand where I'm coming from, right? When it read back what he's saying, Baba Kasha.
Romans 3:21. But now the righteousness of the Most High without the law is manifest.
Right, the righteousness of the Most High without the law is manifest. Right, so it don't mean that we not dealing with we no longer dealing with the law. Right, we basically mean the law bring the punishments of the Most High. Right, but we now serving the Most High the way how Abraham used to serve the Most High, right? And to get a better understanding of that, we do under Commanding GEN.YAHANNA in the I.S.U.P.K, right? Commanding GEN.YAHANNA do have a big stick over here, right? For you to stop eat pork, right? Or stop eat shrimp, or stop eat crab or lobster. Understand? Because when you look at it today, right? You today, right? If you choose to eat pork, anybody gonna do you anything physically? Nobody's going to do anything, right? If you choose to celebrate Christmas, nobody's going to do it. Nobody's going to stone you to death like before. Understand? But, right, just like Abraham, what we decided to do under Commanding GEN.YAHANNA raising priests and prophets of the Lord that of a higher standard and a higher quality. Understand? We now going to serve the Lord just because what He said to do it. You understand where I'm from? Right? So the Lord said, don't eat shrimp, crab, and lobster. You don't need the law over here like a big stick to not eat shrimp, crab, and lobster. I'm just not going to do it. And that's where I'm coming from. I'm going to serve the Most High, right? Without Him having to whip me to do it. You understand where I'm coming from? And that's the quality a priest and prophet that the Most High raising under Commanding GEN.YAHANNA. You understand? We don't need somebody to watch over me to make sure that we don't keep Christmas or Easter, understand? Or all these pagan holidays. Understand where I come from? We make up our mind, we doing the things that the Most High tell we to do, just like Abraham. Understand? Because in Abraham time, he didn't have the law. Understand? But what we used to do, still do what the Most High say, regardless. Understand? The Most High say, go and kill Isaac. He pick up Isaac, load him up, get a knife, and start to walk up the hill and tie him up, and ready to stab him. You understand where I'm coming from? Because why? He had a love for the Most High. You understand where I'm coming from? And that is the place that we had to reach. You understand? When we think about the feast on unleavened bread. You understand? I do the feast on unleavened bread because God says to do it, and you know what I mean? Yeah. Now, you understand where I'm coming from? You understand? And hey, boy, if I go at with them brothers gonna say, boy, nah. You understand where I'm coming from? I celebrating the feast of Passover because it have a righteous God in heaven. Understand? Right? Who sent Yahweh to die on the cross for my wickedness. Understand? For my evilness. Understand? For all the times I thief. Understand? And our whole life. Understand? The old man, for all the times I celebrate Christmas and Easter and all them pagan holidays. Understand where I'm from? Right? Christ, the Most High sent Christ to die so that my sins could bury on the cross. And how my sins buried on the cross? By me what giving up sin. By me giving up the old man. Understand? So that I now could do what is right in the sight of the Most High. Keep the Most High laws, keep His commandments, keep His statutes. Understand? So then what? I will make a big stick, have a big stick over me to serve the Lord, or want to serve the Lord. I want now. That is you wanting and having a willingness to serve the Lord. You having a wantingness in you to serve the Most High. Understand? Without somebody having to tell you to go and serve the Most High. Understand? That is the level of I love him for the Most High. You want him to do the commandments of the Lord, to live a better life, to live in righteousness, to embrace your culture that you accepting what the Lord give you. And understand, you're born on the earth, you're born as a black, Hispanic, and Native Indian man on the earth. And understand, it's your inheritance to rule the earth. You just accept it. That is yours. That is what the Most High give you. You understand where I'm from? You accept that. You accept the love that the Most High given to you. You understand? And that is how you become a righteous and upright person on the face of the earth. You understand? Not somebody hanging a big stick over you. You understand? Wanting to beat you and looking around every corner to see if you're eating pork, crab, shaman, and lobster. You understand? None of the ISP are not commanding GEN.YAHANNA. You understand where I'm from? We have our wantingness and willingness to serve the Most High. All right? Just like Abraham do with his son, right? With Isaac. Right? Right? When you talk about righteousness, it means that you don't need the laws to obey God. The laws, the light red, right? It have a red light, right? But if it don't have a red light at the junction, it mean it won't stop. So you just drive through and bounce with everybody. And that's where I'm coming from. You must want to to be a righteous person upright. So when you reach the junction, although it have no red light, I ain't seen no red light, I still doing what? Going with caution. And that's where I'm coming from. I still taking heed. And understand? It don't have to have a red light over you to say, all right, there you stop. And understand? But for some people, and understand, they have to have a red light. Because why? No, if they do that, nobody, understand, is going to obey or to stop. Understand? But the commanding GEN.YAHANNA raising a different type of man, a different type of officer, understand, a different type of captain, understand, right? A different type of Israelite under Christ, understand. And this man, understand, regardless if have a red light to stop, or not, he will do whatever the Most High say, regardless. And nobody had a whole big stick over him to do it. You understand where I'm from, right? And that is a higher standard of righteousness. All right. Right. You go give me Galatians chapter 3 and verse 16, Babakasha. You understand? Just like Abraham was. Understand? Whoever God say, Abraham doing it. Understand? If you follow the Most High by commandment.
Galatians chapter 3 and verse 16. Now to Abraham and his seed with the promise made, he sinned not.
So like, give me 3 and 6.
3 and
verse 6.
Verse 6?
Yeah. Wow, my bad.
Galatians chapter 3 and verse 6. Even as Abraham believed the Most High, and it was accounted to him for righteousness.
That's right. He believed in the Most High was counted to him as righteousness, right? And when I say belief, right, or faith, right, the two words go synonymous in one, right? That is the works. Understand? Whoever the Most High tell him to do, he do it. Understand? And that counts to him as righteousness. Understand where I'm from? So he's an Israelite, right? You come into the I.S.U.P.K under commanding GEN.YAHANNA. Commanding GEN.YAHANNA is the head, right, of the nation of Israel at this time. You understand where I'm from? Wherever commanding GEN.YAHANNA say to do, you do it. You understand where I'm from? Right? And there's nothing unrighteous going to happen here because we follow what? Everything that the scripture say to do. You understand where I'm from? Straight down to captains, officers, right down the ladder. You understand where I'm from? Right? And that is how Abraham operated with the Most High. You understand? Right? So the Most High telling Abraham to go and kill his son. Right? When the Most High tell Abraham to go and kill his son, he pack up everything. Right? And going to do what? Make the sacrifice unto the Most High. Until the Most High had a, well, when they continue in the story, the Most High stop him. Right? And he had a ram tied up in the bushes. He ended up using the ram as sacrifice. Right? But that was the Most High giving Abraham that test. Understand? To see how much he was willing to obey him. Right? And the Most High not asking we to do that. What the Most High asking me, you know what the Most High asking me? Abraham had to kill his son. Understand? Christ had to die on the cross. What the most asking we to do is give up pork, shrimp, crab, and lobster. Stop celebrate Christmas. Understand? Stop celebrate Easter. He didn't ask me to kill the trend. Understand where I'm coming from? Right? He not asking me to go and do something that seemingly impossible. Understand? He say what he commandments is not grievous. All the things he asking me to do is things that we could actually do. You understand where I'm coming from? Right? All the pagan festivals all through the year, we don't want to celebrate that. You understand where I'm coming from? But that day is what? That the pain of circumcision. Everybody hates you. Everybody against you. They want to know why you ain't coming Christmas dinner? Why you ain't eating pork? You understand where I'm coming from? Why you ain't saying them with me around the Christmas table? You understand where I'm coming from? Right? When they go out in the street and they tell the Christian church, God do love everybody, the mad. You understand? Why do God love everybody? You understand? And these the kind of persecution you would face in the truth, the trials you would face in the truth. And as the scripture call it the fiery trials, right? And Peter 4:12. You understand? These the things you would face, right? But when you look at it, we in the I.S.U.P.K. not serving God because somebody forced me to serve God. We don't force nobody inside it. You understand? We don't force nobody to join the I.S.U.P.K. Understand? Right? We in the I.S.U.P.K. under command GEN.YAHANNA because why? We understand the sacrifice that the Most High made for us, that Christ made for us, and we doing what? We want to serve the Most High. We want to live a righteous life. We want to do better. We want to change and strive to do something better. Understand? Yes. Understand? You will a drug dealer your whole life? Well, all right. The Passover pass, this is it here. You understand? Try to do better. Try to not be a drug dealer this year. Try to not be an adulterer this year. Try to not sleep with your brother wife this year. You understand? Do something, change something. Strive to become something better. And that is what commanding GEN.YAHANNA teaches all his officers, captains, students, you understand? Troopers, sisters, children. That is what we do in the I.S.P. under commanding general. We do the things that the Most High tell us to do. We try and actually strive to do better. Unlike the Christian church, who just getting worse and worse and worse. Unlike the Muslim mosque, who just doing what? Getting worse and worse and worse. You understand? And feel they can give away all their money to try to buy your way into heaven. They can't buy your way into heaven. Understand? Egyptology is doing what? Getting worse and worse. Look at all the people in Egyptology. Mess. Understand? Mess. All the tie up the head and African gong and all kind of thing. And it's a funny thing with Egyptology. Everybody always wants to be a specific type of African. Understand? But what about the African with the long neck? Understand? And who drinking horse pee? Right? What about them who stretching the ears long, quite down by the shoulder? How nobody want to be that type of African? And that's where I'm coming from. That just show you the hypocrisy, right, in society today. And understand? Nobody want to be from the Mujuju tribe, cutting up the skin with razor blade. And understand? Right? Nobody want to be from that tribe. And understand? As I reach there, nah, I not that type of African. You understand? Wearing a colored cloth wrap around, but you're really in believe is African. You understand? That's the kind of things. You understand? How come nobody in drinking in a bowl and spitting back and getting somebody else to drink? Why they're not from that tribe? I never see no African from that tribe. Everybody who say there's African, somehow that they're never coming from these tribes. You understand? I think hypocrisy in our society, right? I see we don't come up on the time day, right? But just give me First Corinthians. Give me Luke. I'm gonna go to the First Corinthians again, right? Give me Luke 12 and 1, Babakosha. We will just run through this quick. We didn't come on the time already. Luke 12 and 1.
Luke chapter 12 and verse 1. In the meantime, when they were gathered together, an innumerable multitude of people.
Right, so it's an innumerable multitude of people, well,
and so much that they threw one upon another.
Right, so much of them that started walk on top of one another. Right, I have to tell you how much, right, people used to listen to Christ at that time. And I can imagine you have a multitude of people until it's so full to the brim that people on top of one another. And I the only time you see that, you know, you see that, you see that if that is showing the type of crowd, right, that used to come to listen to Christ. You just see that when you're watching Arsenal versus Manchester United, and you just see that people all on top of one another. Right, when that kind of crowd Christ used to pull. You understand? Where people treading on top of one another. Go ahead.
He began to say unto his disciples, first of all.
Right, so he tell them the first thing. This is the first thing he's going to tell them. Right, so it's like the king going to make a speech, and this is the first thing he's telling them. Out of him mouth. Go ahead.
Beware you of the leaven of the Pharisees.
Right, and he said, beware of the leaven of the Pharisees. Right, and this is the feast on unleavened bread. Right, and he going to explain what is the leaven. This leaven is not easy. Was talking about this is when the feast on unleavened bread is symbolic for something else. Right, continue or metaphoric for something else. Go ahead.
Which is hypocrisy.
Which is what?
Hypocrisy.
That's right. The level of the Pharisees, right? And that's why the scripture in Matthew say the Pharisees and Sadducees, right? The two sects, right? Of this with the two Christian doctrine, right? He said the leaven of these people is what? Hypocrisy, right? And that is basically where the Christian church is today, right? And that is where the I.S.U.P.K under command in GEN.YAHANNA has stamped out. And understand in the nation of Israel, in the nation of the I.S.U.P.K under command in GEN.YAHANNA. That level is hypocrisy. Saying one thing and doing something totally different. Doing the opposite. Understand? You can't say you ain't celebrating Easter again and then be seen here in an Easter bonnet parade. You understand where I'm coming from? That is hypocrisy, right? You can't say you're keeping the Passover and then at the end of the year we in Christmas. You understand, with a big Christmas tree? No, that what the Christian church does do. You understand? The Christian church all do the opposite are what they say. The Muslim must do the opposite of what they say. You understand? Same thing like what you said before. They're saying halal whole year, and at the end of the year is the celebrating Christmas. The pundit, and I tell you, it's an article that I showed you last time, right? The pundit, he's a pundit in the Hindu temple, and when Easter comes, he beating a good Friday bubbly on the side of the road. You understand? So that is the hypocrisy. He's celebrating Easter. You understand where I come from? And that is the hypocrisy, and that's why in the I.S.U.P.K we just say that all these other religions were Christians. You understand? Right? So and that's the first thing Christ warned them about, and that is really the feast on unleavened bread is about. You understand? We have to remove the hypocrisy in ourselves. You understand where I'm coming from? So what I'm saying or what I'm talking about, I mustn't be doing the opposite after. You understand? I must be doing the same thing. So if I say we should celebrate the Lord's Passover throughout the generations, then what do do? Celebrate the Lord's Passover. And so if I say we celebrating the feast on unleavened bread, what am I supposed to do? Keep the feast on unleavened bread. Right? And that is what if I say we're not eating pork, shrimp, crab, and lobster, what we just do? Not eat shrimp, pork, crab, and lobster. Everything we say that everything we say and we teach, we have to practice it. Understand? Unlike the Christian church, they don't do and practice the things that they teach. And understand? And that is what the under Commandant General YAHANNA in the I.S.U.P.K, we have a different standard to society. That is what can make we fight against the oppression of the society. Because why? We say and do the things that we teach. Right? And with that, we will pass the cup over to Priest and Officer Shah. Look here, everything on there.
Security announcements. We are the I.S.U.P.K out of 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under Commandant General YAHANNA. No rules for brothers and sisters. When a new brother or sister comes into the school, they are off limits for 6 months. They are here to be saluted only. They are here to shed themselves of the world. After 6 months, if a brother or sister has an interest in a particular person, he or she must get permission from the head to speak to another brother or sister. There's another 6 months which a brother or sister will court each other. After the 6 month period, a brother or sister will get permission from the head to marry. Tithes, which is the commandment. You can find this in Numbers chapter 18, verse 21, and Malachi chapter 3, verse 8 to 10. Means 10 in Hebrew, as pronounced as Maishara. 10% of every penny and increase the Most High gives you, give to the treasury department or teacher priest fund. Fuel offering for priest, non-mandatory, whatever amount you would like to give. Upcoming holy convocation.
I think Feast of First Fruits.
Yeah. That will be the Feast of First Fruits. Start after the Sabbath. After unleavened bread, sundown Saturday, April the 3rd, 2021. Count for 50 days. Celebrated the 50th day. That will be Saturday, May 22nd, 2021. Start before sundown. You can find it in Leviticus chapter 23, verse 10 to 22. Remind the Akiamda that watching to check on social media such as I.S.U.P.K, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and so on for I.S.U.P.K events and material. If your brother wants to be a trooper in the school, then you should start wearing all black, which include black boots, light shirt, light pants, light hairband or scarf. That we say, Marjam. Put down. Abanawa, Shabashimaya, Wadash, Aya, Shamka, Yahawa, Lakwaka, Abaa, Azaka, Aisha, Baratiza, Kawa, Aya, Bashimaya, Natan, Nadawa, Akam, Kal, Yawam, Wasalaknawa, Wakinawa, Asalaknawa, Wakinawa, Wala, Tabianawa, Wasawan, Ball, Shainawa, Mayan, Rai, Kaya, Laka, Malakwa, Wahala, Wahaala, I will love you. Aman. What we said in the English was, Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Yahweh, thy kingdom come, thy will be done, in earth, as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we forgive our debtors, and lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever. So be it. Sir, let's get a teacher one could be salute. Imagine Shabbat. Imagine Barak. Yahweh Shemir Shabrakata. Yahweh Shemir Shabrakata. Yalimata. Sa. Let's get the sisters online one could be Imagine Shabbat. Imagine Barak. Yahweh Shemir Shai. Yalimata. Class dismissed.